When do you decide where you're going to play that ball?
When I hit it,
Instead of like just planning your serve, plan the first two balls.
you don't like the thrill?
So what's it like being back on the tennis court now? Does it feel any different than it did before?
It definitely feels much different, but I don't know. It feels like I have a sense of responsibility for my daughter, but also I'm very happy at the same time. So I'm super excited.
When you say that responsibility, what does that mean to you?
Oh, it means a lot. I think I'm not the type of person that can play for myself. Whenever I did well, I've always had a reason, if that makes sense. And now I just feel like I want to show her the world, and I want her to like grow up and see what I've done for such a long time.
So will she be traveling with you throughout the season?
Like, she's still so young right now. I think sporadically. I'm not going to bring her to Australia.
Will this be your first time like away from her for a long period? How do you feel about that?
If I think about it too much, it makes me sad, but I also don't want her to like be on an airplane for so long because she's still very young.
Will she be a motivating factor for you when you take the court every time?
I think definitely I would think or hope that I would play better, because I don't want like my reason for leaving her to be, I guess, I want to win and I want to do well.
And being back on the court, you said it feels different now. What are you enjoying most now about it?
I'm definitely enjoying the challenges. I think every day brings a new adventure, and it also brings a new obstacle, but it feels fun to, I guess, conquer those challenges now, as opposed to before. I think I would feel a little bit threatened by the challenges.
And so what is different? How are you approaching that differently?
I think I have more appreciation for the sport, because I kind of realize like the athlete lifespan isn't that long. So I just have to make the most out of the time I have now.
And you were away from playing for, at least in your terms, a long period of time. I mean, what was the hardest part of coming back just to practice?
I guess physically, every time I take a break and come back to tennis, I realize how physical the sport is, and it was just really hard to get back in shape, I guess, after pregnancy.
You were back out on the court, though, at least based on social media, very quickly.
Oh, I actually started playing in October, but like I was physically trying to get back in shape, I guess, pretty soon after birth.
So you've only been back on the court since October. Where do you think your game is at this point, knowing where you've been before?
Honestly, I think I'm doing pretty well. I'm a bit of a perfectionist, so I think in my head, like, I'm the perfect player in the past, but I know that's not reality. So I think right now, honestly, there are a couple things that I'm doing better than I was doing before.
Like what?
Oh, like my backhands and my return. So I'm pretty happy about that.
What are you most excited about in terms of the return?
I think just seeing people again. The majority of my last 2 years on tour was like COVID years, so I didn't really see that many fans. And I think honestly just watching other matches in person. I didn't really get to do that often as well.
You were a spectator at the US Open this year, which obviously was a different role for you.
Yeah.
What was that experience like?
It was funny to me because I've actually never watched a match in Arthur Ashe aside from like when I was a kid. And I didn't know it was so loud and people like talk literally in between the points as well. So I thought it was really funny.
What do you think will be going through your mind when you step on the court for that first match?
I think excitement. I'm definitely going to be very nervous though, but excitement.
There'll probably be, I would imagine, the days before, a lot of emotions going through. What are you expecting?
I'm a little nervous because I don't know how prepared I am. I don't know if I'll ever be prepared in my mind. So just, I guess, getting the first couple matches in and getting my rhythm back.
Do you feel ready? Is it more a mental block than in actuality?
I think it is a mental thing because I haven't played in what feels like forever, but it's only been like a year and maybe a couple months. So just getting into the swing of things.
We talked about you being at the US Open before and hoping to watch more matches. Have you watched a lot of tennis during this break?
I try, okay, that's my thing. I really don't like watching matches because I'm really like competitive, and I feel like the more I watch matches, the more I want to play. And if I'm in a position where I can't play, it just makes me frustrated.
Yeah.
I watched a lot of Wimbledon actually, and of course the US Open, but other than that, I didn't watch like the year-end championships or anything.
Have you kept up with the results even if you haven't actively been watching?
No. I never do unless someone tells me or if it's my friend that's playing.
So do you know where your game you feel like stacks up right now with sort of that top group of players?
I honestly, I can only say, because I only watched one match live, which was Coco's match, the semis. So I can only constantly play that match in my mind, and I think I have a pretty good idea. But I'm also not sure because that was the semis of a Grand Slam. So those are like two top players. So I'm not sure how I would play against everyone else.
You've been open in the past about the toll being a professional tennis player has taken on you, on your happiness, on your mental health. How are you feeling about that going forward?
Honestly, I'm feeling pretty positive. I guess giving birth to my daughter changed my mindset a lot. And it's also made me, I guess, realize that my world doesn't have to revolve around me, which might also be a little selfish too, but I guess just finding outer happiness and inner peace.
Do you feel prepared to handle some of these same challenges when the grind of the tour? Do you feel now that you have the tools and are equipped to handle this?
I'm not sure if it's like tools, but I do feel like I don't care anymore. So I'm not sure if that's a correct mindset to go with. But honestly, a lot of things that caused me stress before, I don't care about them anymore. So
What are some of those things that stressed you out before?
I guess just like a lot of unknown things. I always do this thing of looking too much into the future. And then I realized like I can only be in the present, but also I used to care a lot about other people's opinions, and I don't really care too much anymore. I wouldn't say like I'm fully unaware of the opinions, but yeah, I just realized I can only be me, so.
That must feel pretty liberating.
I hope so. I hope it's gonna last, but.
Yeah, being away from the game and not having to sort of hear maybe some of that at a tournament. I mean, has that helped you just having that break away?
I think so, for me. But I've also taken multiple breaks. But I think this one, like the extra long one, helped me a lot.
What are you most excited about in terms of being back on tour?
I think just being competitive again, playing competitive matches, seeing other people play their matches and learning from them. And there's also this certain energy when you go to tournaments and you just feel like everyone's hungry for the same thing.
What do you think will be different about this phase, Naomi 2.0 of your career?
I think I'm going to be a lot more open, actually. I usually go around the site with headphones on, just to like block out a lot. But I think this time, I don't know, I'm gonna try to talk to some people, try to learn a bit, so.
Like in terms of the locker room, is that what you mean too? Just like talking to some of your peers or?
Both, like talking to my peers, talking to people that I just bump into, Yeah, just try to soak up as much as I can.
Have you missed being around other tennis players?
I'm not sure. I think so, but also not really. It's a weird mix.
There are other moms now on tour. There's quite a few of you. What has it been like watching some of them return?
It's been really, honestly inspiring. I remember when Serena first came back on tour, and she almost immediately went to the final of a slam. I felt super inspired from that, and I didn't have a kid yet, so just watching Svitolina and Azarenka's always been doing well. It's super inspiring.
Have you talked to any of those players?
That's what I'm hoping to do when I get back on tour, but no, I don't know. I'm always super nervous about like randomly sending someone a message or something.
Are you hoping though to have a camaraderie with some of those women?
I think so. I mean, I think tennis is a bit of a lonely sport because, we're all fighting for the same thing. But I think it's cool that those women are like moms and they're being able to do so well at the top of the sport. So.
Have you talked to any other female athletes who have come back?
I actually had a couple of really good conversations with Allison Felix, and she's actually helped me a lot. So I'm super cool with her.
In what ways has she helped you?
I actually did her podcast, and then we started talking from there, but she was just always helpful, giving me advice, telling me to just, don't pressure myself and things like that.
Do you think you'll be continuing to talk with her as the season goes on?
Yeah, I like her a lot. She's so cool.
What are your goals for this season?
I have pretty big goals. And I think in order to calm myself, I tell myself, I haven't played in a while and I just want to get through it one match at a time. And I do think Australia is a testing ground for me, but I definitely want to do well in the Olympics. I definitely want to do well in slams and test myself in Wimbledon and French.
You gave an interview last spring where you said your goal was 8 major titles and Olympic gold in Paris this summer. Is that still in the back of your mind as your ultimate goals?
Yeah, I think, I don't know if I'm optimistic, but I really think I could.
Why those specific goals?
I feel like if I set really high goals, I'll be able to achieve at least one of them, as opposed to if I set a quarterfinals, you know what I mean? Then I'd just be happy with anything. So it's a little pressure, but I do feel like I have to set higher goals for myself.
You need that pressure.
Yeah.
How will you define success at this point in your career? Is it any different than it was previously?
Yeah, I think when I was younger, success was how many trophies I would win or things like that. Not materialistic, but it wasn't something that I wanted for myself. And now I think success is, I don't want to say inner peace, but it's just having the people around you that love you and they're all good and you're good and just being happy with you or content.
Is that more important to you at this point than any trophy?
I think so, because I feel like I could win different trophies in my mind's a little bit of a whirl, but now I'm just happy to be surrounded by the people that I love while also playing tennis and hopefully getting back to it.
Has Shai changed that perspective for you?
She has, I think. I don't know, with her everything's so simple, which I guess all babies are, but it's just fun to want to see her grow up and see the type of person she's gonna be.
Yeah, what have you enjoyed most about motherhood so far?
So many adventures with her. I think honestly just going into her room in the morning and saying good morning and her recognizing who I am and stretching her arms out is super cute.
Having her, you mentioned she'd be coming to some tournaments this year. What will it be like, you think? And you mentioned showing her the world. What do you think that experience will be like? What do you envision for that?
Well, I think it'd be super fun. And I also feel for me, it'll make me feel as though tennis is it's something I live for, but also it's not the reason why I'm alive, if that makes sense. And just playing matches and coming back home to her, I think will change my view on a lot of things.
When you have your daughter there, it'll probably be different. Are you excited about having that balance on the road?
Yeah, I think, and also I'm just excited for her to see so many different things. And I think that's one of my main purposes of coming back, is just showing her everything and getting her to soak up as much information as she can.
Are there any tournaments or cities that you're most excited to show her?
Honestly, currently, just because I think it might be the first one she goes to, Indian Wells in Miami.
And would you have her come to a match?
No. There's too many unknowns there. I don't know what she's gonna do.
In terms of noise?
Yeah, and also I feel I would be concerned, so I would be looking at the box, and I don't like looking at the box, so.
When you're in Australia, do you have a set goal for yourself for that trip?
Definitely seeing where I'm at, but also I want to play with the best players in the world and I want to like be back there. So set goals, do well, but I'm not really sure what doing well is.
I was just going to ask you that. What is that this early in your comeback? What specifically does that mean?
I don't know because it's weird. My second tournament is going to be a Grand Slam. And normally I feel like people play way more tournaments to lead into that. But I guess doing well is like knowing that there's nothing more I could have done in that tournament and leaving with a sense of accomplishment and leaving with a feeling that I can learn so much more.